tasing.
I hope I got his handle right.
Yeah, but you wrote tasing instead of
Tasing? I'll fix it.
All right.
Good to go, Chris?
All right. Good to go, my friend.
Woo woo. What's up, everybody?
It's a nice dead air you just went right into.
Right? I almost finished on time. I almost got it out there.
Way to hit the post there, Dave.
Hey, we're tasing. We're tasing. Shoot.
Tase.
Almost nailed it. Almost nailed it. How's everyone going? How we doing?
It's great.
We're doing great. I think things are starting off very well for the show tonight.
I would agree. And on that note, I say we kick things off here. What do you say?
How about we do that?
Let's do it, because the Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News, your go-to for gaming news, covers all your gaming content needs. They have the latest reviews and articles covering everything in gaming and tech, including a preview of the new Doom Eternal. Chris, you remember that game, Doom?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. First-person shooter from back in the day.
That's right. And a review of Dragon Ball Z, the new one. Be sure to check them out and head over to Shack News. Get into the conversation. Click on that Shack News Twitter profile, because when it comes to gaming news, there is only one site to visit. That is ShackNews.com.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kinsler from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. You're listening to the
Zack Meisel coming in.
on the air. Boom,
Let's go.
shakalaka.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah,
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Free shakalaka. Reflog. It's just golfer backward. Boom shakalaka.
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. Today is Monday, January 27th, 2020. I'm your host, Big Play Dave, alongside my main man, Mr. Chris McNeil. What's up,
How you
brother?
doing, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Good. Bringing the energy. I like it.
We got a new team member.
We do. We got Miss Gab Cruz over here. What's going on?
Not too much. Thanks for having me, gang.
You are quite welcome. Welcome back to the Big Play Studio.
It's so lavish.
Yeah, and welcome to the team officially.
Thanks.
We're not eating chicken nuggets, so
This will be better. No nuggets.
this will be better. This will be better. Hey, we got
Did you ever get the smell out of the studio? I don't smell it right now.
Gab, you be the judge of that.
It is. We're good. We're in the clear.
No.
All right, good. Doesn't smell like chicken nuggets. It just smells like my kids. They were farting over in the couch in the Big Play Studio not that long ago.
Classy.
Oh, yeah. We got a great show for you guys tonight. So tonight on the Big Play Reflog Show, we're going to kick things off talking some Tribe. with our buddy Zack Meisel from the Athletic Cleveland, coming in, talk Tribe Fest, talk Lindor, talk Paul Dolan. Got a lot to talk about. Then we will get into our Cleveland sports headlines, courtesy of our friends over at Cleveland Clothing Company. A lot to discuss here. We got to talk about Kobe. Kind of shook everyone yesterday, obviously, even here in Cleveland. Kareem Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
He's not having a great day. Andrew Barry having a much better day for the next 5 years. Lot to talk about in Cleveland headlines. Then we will get into Power Rank Monday. Keep it lighthearted here. Our favorite commercials leading up to the Super Bowl. Hit you with a couple Would You Rathers, and we will end the show with our bold predictions for the week. Let's kick it off, though. It's interview time. He is a writer for The Athletic Cleveland. Indians beat writer since 2011. Zack Meisel, welcome back to the Big Play Reflog Show. How we doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys?
We're good. We're ready to talk some Tribe.
You sure you don't want to just talk about Hugh Jackson's cameo videos?
Chris,
That's great, right?
Would you like to address
Best
that?
$60 I ever spent right there. Thank you for referencing that. That was just fantastic. Made my day.
Zach,
I couldn't believe that. For only $60,
That is
right?
crazy.
You can
That
get
is
you
crazy.
to do it. And, you know, I gave him such a short script, and he just talked and talked. And we'll get into it later, but that was just pure magic. Pure magic.
Zach, if you could pick one person for a cameo, who would it be?
I think Albert Bell.
Oh, yeah. Good choice.
And you think about the things that, because you have to tell them what to talk about,
Yeah.
and you could get creative and have some fun with that. Of course, there's no guarantee you'd actually get the video because he might throw his phone across the room halfway through.
That was the amazing part for Hugh, because like they have 5 days to make these things, right? And I put in my request at like 11:30 or something in the morning, and by noon I got an email that said your video's ready. I was like, wait a second, are you sure? Yeah, sure
Dude,
enough. I
he
click
was-
on it. There it
he was
is. There's Hugh.
busting
Within a
those
half
out.
an hour, he got that thing turned around. The man's a machine for these things.
He's a good sport. Zach, let's get into some baseball here because Indians started pitching looking a lot different than they did from opening day last season. No Kluber, no Bauer, our friend of the show, Trevor Bauer, always an interesting character. Any concerns you have with the depth of this rotation, especially in years past, it's been the top strength of this team.
Yeah, I think the only concern you would have are the same concerns you probably have with everybody on your roster, which is just sometimes guys have injuries, sometimes guys have seasons that make you scratch your head. So I think really, though, any setbacks they might have in the rotation, which are possible because you have some guys you're going to be relying on who are young, who are inexperienced, who are maybe going through their second major league season when hitters adjust to what they did last year. But the thing is, they have so much depth behind the five that we'll see on the opening day roster that it's like if someone's struggling, they can switch them out for someone else. I mean, it's crazy. They have, I think, 12 starting pitchers on the 40-man roster. And you hope you don't need all of those guys, but it's like if they have to dip into their depth, it's not a big deal. And I think what's different than last year is last year you were one by one losing an established veteran, and we didn't know who Aaron Savali was. We didn't know who Zach Plesac was.
Right.
Now you at least have a little bit of an idea of what those guys are, and so you're also confident just in the pitching system they've developed, where if you have to tap into that again, if Tristan McKenzie comes up or if Scott Moss comes up or someone else that they've acquired and developed, you're probably not as worried as you might have been a year ago.
Who's going to be the wild card in the locker room now that Trevor Bauer's gone? Because I know you guys kind of had some fun interviewing that guy. Who's the next? I don't want to say weirdest, but who's the most interesting guy in that locker room now?
I mean, it has to be Clevenger because he's never had a filter. It's just now he's got the confidence. I don't think, when he first came up to the majors, he was so nervous. It seemed like he was more nervous talking to reporters than he was pitching. And every answer would be one or two words, and he'd smile and nod his head, and he just wasn't comfortable. But now he's so comfortable in expressing himself, and he's talked about this. But he doesn't have a filter, and so he's opinionated, just like Trevor Bauer was. That's why they were good friends, but also argued about things and debated things constantly. But Clevenger has some thoughts on things that are pretty far out there, and he's not afraid to share them if you ask.
Hey, Zach, let's talk a little bit about the free agent market. It's a little anemic at this point. Is there anybody you see the Indians picking up or pursuing here between now and the season start?
Yeah, so it seems like the one name that fans want, and that honestly the team might as well just do at this point because it would be goodwill and it would help the roster a bit, is Yasiel Puig. I mean, there's not much else out there, especially when looking at the spots that the Indians could use an upgrade at. Puig is not that perennial all-star. He's not a savior, but he's a guy you can stick in there every day, and he's got a great arm. He can be at least an average hitter, if not a little bit above average, and they need that. I mean, that's otherwise you're relying on Jake Bowers or Jordan Luplow every day, or Daniel Johnson, and you're not only that, you're probably relying on multiple of those guys. So, I think it's possible that they would entertain a reunion. It's going to have to be on their terms. But there's no guarantee. I mean, this is, we've seen this 2 years in a row now with the ownership scaling back financially. Their payroll right now is projected to be about $90 million, which would be nearly $30 million lower than it was last year on opening day, nearly $45 million lower than what it was opening day 2 years ago. And so it'd be silly for me to say, like, yeah, they'll probably add Puig. They can afford, another $8 million for 2020, because I think we've learned by now you don't just assume anything. So he would make sense. There's really not much out there, though. Like you said, a lot of guys signed earlier this year than what we've seen the past couple of years in free agency. And, the Indians, like Brock Holt is an interesting name, I guess. He's a guy who can play a lot of positions, can hit a little bit. But that's not as high up on the priority list for the Indians. So the one thing they would need is an outfielder. Puig's really the only everyday guy still out there. And there aren't very many teams who need him. So a reunion could make sense if the Indians have the leverage with the contract.
How many suites do we have to sell to get Puig?
Start a GoFundMe.
Oh, man.
Now I've got a question. You talk about Puig, and you were right. There's social media is clamoring for him. There's a story about Puig that I've never understood. Why does he lick his bat?
He said it's like.
Oh, I forgot about that.
There's someone else who did this too. I know that after he fouls off a pitch, he likes. Was it him who said that he likes the smell of it or something, and he likes to sometimes sniff his bat, or I don't know. I think it's like a superstition type thing, but he's a strange bird. I mean, it's just getting to be around him for a couple months last season. He said something or did something every day that just made you like scratch your head or look around the room to see if anyone else caught what you caught. I mean, he's an odd person, but certainly entertaining.
Any stories stick out to you with Puig off the top of your head?
I mean, I just remember he had been with the team for a week. We were in Minneapolis, and they won on a Friday night, I think, was the first game of the series. And he's sitting in the middle of the room, and he doesn't know these guys. He's been with this team for a week. It was a crazy week because if you remember, first of all, they had the trade. He was in the fight. They had all these new people coming in. They had, a big chunk of the clubhouse was new faces, and he's standing in the middle of the clubhouse just screaming. And I think a lot of the pitchers were looking around what is going on right now? He had Lindor and Mercado and Reyes and Roberto Perez in stitches, and he's just like shouting. And I don't know what he was saying, but a lot of it was just literally screaming, not words, just screaming. And I'm like, okay, this is what the last 2 months of the season are going to be like, I guess.
Zach, speaking of talk in the clubhouse, you're a lot closer to the players and things than I am. What's everybody saying regarding the whole Astros cheating scandal? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, a lot of, and I know it's been interesting. I think I said there was the one day, maybe it was the day after the suspensions came out and the penalties, and it seemed like every player was tweeting their opinion and saying that they heard different stuff and all this, and it seemed like that's like an ordinary day in the NBA. Like in the NBA, you have players tweeting emojis and subtweeting each other, challenging each other to fights on Instagram. And MLB, we got a taste of that once finally, and it was so entertaining. But I think it goes to show that like players are definitely more willing to share their thoughts and express things. 15, 20 years ago, you say anything and you're going to get a fastball to your back. So it seems like players are more willing to speak up now. It seems like that kind of old culture is mostly gone. And I know the Indians, they thought something was up in 2018 after they got swept. And they hinted at it after that game. It certainly is a lot more easy to understand now after the fact, once we know what was going on. But I think there was suspicion throughout the league, and I don't think anyone was shocked when all this came out. And I'm sure that there's going to be more. I would think that we'll keep learning things, and especially once we get to spring training and reporters want to talk to players about it all the time. And I would think that you'll probably learn some more details about everything that was going on.
Zach, where do you kind of land on that with, do you think that professional sports should get into the vacating titles or, harsher penalties than what we've seen? How do you kind of compare the Astros and steroids?
Well, I've never been a fan of vacating titles because it's like, I can't even, do we keep track of which titles in college basketball were vacated and which weren't? And I remember being on Bourbon Street. Well, I guess I don't remember necessarily being on Bourbon Street, but I remember being in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl when Ohio State played Arkansas in 2011. And Ohio State had to vacate that Sugar Bowl victory. But I remember being there, so it happened, and you can't just erase that from my memory. So the vacating doesn't really do much for me. If you vacated the title, I'm sure the Astros nothing would change Astros fans. They would still celebrate it. They would still consider it their championship. But I feel like we all know. It's like we know that it's tainted. And I really think that's all you can do. It's interesting because we don't know how widespread this was. We don't know. And I think that's part of the reason. I know players were granted immunity to talk to the league and convey as many details as they could. But I think it would also be difficult to punish the players because you don't know how rampant it was. And it's not like the Astros had 25 players every year and it was the same players. You have players go to other teams and share information that they know with their new teammates. You have new players coming in. What does Michael Brantley know? Was he participating in this? That poor guy. He probably would never even consider such a thing. So I just, it's hard because it seems like the steroid era, it's similar in the fact that we don't know everybody who was involved and you can only speculate. But it's a little bit different just because I think we've only hit the tip of the iceberg here, and there's always going to be new angles and new methods of technology people can use to try to gain an edge, and it's going to be interesting to watch MLB try to police that.
Interesting. Okay, so we're going to switch gears here for a second. Which young player Oh, wait, sorry. Actually, well, no, yeah. Which young player is going to be a fan? I thought we already asked him this.
We are a well-oiled machine over here.
I was gonna go straight to Tribe Fest.
She's so excited about Tribe Fest.
I'm very excited about Tribe Fest. And we could be talking about the Astros all day. I've been like zooming in on pictures on Twitter to see like the lines of wires and things. So I think everyone's been playing detective to some extent. But which one young player do you think is going to become a fan favorite this season?
It's a good question. I don't want to say Daniel Johnson, maybe. I don't know if he's going to make the opening day roster. I think you're going to hear a ton about him during spring training. And he'll have a chance to make the roster, but he'll be up at some point. But he's got a personality. He can hit, and he's got like an absolute rocket for an arm. So I'm hoping he gets a chance to kind of showcase all of this, because he's a guy I could see fans falling in love with. I guess that would be my guess. They have I mean, this is a young team, and there aren't really. I mean, you have Lindor and Clevenger, and I mean, I guess we could think of Bieber as like a leader in the clubhouse now, and he's like 24 years old.
That's
so
crazy.
There'll probably be a lot of youth.
Hey, any thoughts, Zach, on Paul Dolan's comments from this week from the Cleveland Sports Awards, saying that he's particularly appreciative of fans who buy suites and sponsorships?
Oh, how much time do you have?
All the time you need, my friend.
No, I mean, I see both sides of it, in that he's playing to his audience. You know, a lot of people in the crowd that night were people who spend a lot of money on the Indians. At the same time, when he made that comment and the enjoy him self-deprecating stand-up routine, probably keep your day job comment, there was a group of reporters kind of huddled together listening to his speech. And at both of those quotes, all the reporters looked at each other and was like, wow, did he really just say that? And it's like the Lifetime Achievement Award, I don't have a problem with, because the things they've done for the community. I mean, it depends like what you think a Lifetime Achievement Award should be, but if it's to make an impact in Cleveland, and I mean, they've done so much philanthropy, so I don't have a problem with that, as long as and it was specified in like a video package that that's what they were highlighting. The problem with the whole thing is that the payroll's at $90 million. The offseason has been nothing but trimming payroll and talking about trading the franchise player. So you have to understand, you have to know when you get up there at an event that's being streamed live and being covered by every outlet in the city and every sports writer in the city, that everything you're going to say is going to be said to the average fan who's really ticked off about how this offseason has gone. And so if you're going to get up there and make jokes or single out people in the crowd, it's not going to go over well. And I think that's kind of where there's this disconnect, and just not quite this understanding of how fans are feeling right now. And so it's unfortunate, because we've spent so much time this winter, last winter, even the first 2 months of last season, talking about ownership and payroll and frustrations, when the reality is, like, it would be great to talk about this roster. It's a really good roster, but it's hard because if you can say it's a really good roster and like they might make the playoffs, and then it's like, well, imagine if ownership would give the front office a little flexibility, a little bit of margin for error, and you could add another player or two to help your cause. So it's just, it was an unfortunate timing. It made things awkward, and it didn't come off well. And I really think they should have had the foresight to maybe not say those things, because the first 90% of the speech was him just thanking various people. And he even said at one point that he was like going on way too long. And it's like, okay, well then you just should have stopped while you were ahead. But unfortunately he didn't.
So at the center of all this is, of course, Lindor. Any thoughts? Are the Indians going to trade Francisco Lindor, do you think?
I don't think so. Not before opening day. But, you're in this position now where he loses trade value once the trade deadline passes. We've seen the Red Sox not getting a ton of traction for Mookie Betts, finding it really difficult to trade him and get a good return back because he has 1 year left. Well, that's going to be Francisco Lindor, 9-10 months from now. So if they're, in third place, or if they're struggling to get to 500 and it's June, July, then they're going to, almost be forced into trading him at that point, because he'll have a year and a half of control. He can contribute to some teams to playoff pushes, and you can still get a good return. But that's just belabors the point that if that's on the table, if that's a plausible scenario for the 2020 season, why would you not surround the guy with more talent? Why would you not keep the payroll where it was and then trim payroll when he leaves in 2 years or once you trade him? It doesn't make sense. And I've used the analogy that it's like they've been at this fork in the road this offseason, and they've chosen to just drive straight. And it makes no sense. And I don't think they have four-wheel drive either, because those cars are usually a little more expensive.
Oh, man. Really, really bringing us up there with the Lindor talk. I appreciate it.
To be fair, I asked the question.
That's
so
true.
I
That's true.
Right down that path.
Yeah, it's been an interesting offseason.
It's completely possible that he sticks around for 2 years,
right,
and just walks, and they make 2 runs at it. But it's like, if you're going to do that, then why don't you got to do a little bit more. You can't just sign Cesar Hernandez and call it a day.
Yeah, interesting offseason to say the least. Hey, we do have some good things coming up here. We've got Tribe Fest, which I believe you and Gab are going to be at. And then we got a fundraiser coming up next week. Zach, can you tell us a little bit about this? I believe it's next Tuesday in Lakewood.
Yeah, so on February 4th, I think we'll start at about 6:30 at Bottle House Brewery in Lakewood, right on Madison Avenue. It's a Cleveland Sports Trivia Night fundraiser for our friend and colleague Matt Lodi, who's been battling stage 4 lymphoma in his stomach and his pancreas and his kidneys for nearly a year now, and he's going through a lot of stuff. So holding a fundraiser in his honor, and you can buy tickets. You can go to eventbrite.com and search Lodi, Loede, or I tweeted it out today. I know other media members have as well. But it'll be fun. There'll be a bunch of media people there. We'll try to limit it to the media that most fans would want to be around. No names. But we'll have plenty of trivia, a raffle. It's a catered event. Nice. And it should be fun. I mean, we have some really cool prizes to give away. I know all 3 teams will be represented in the raffle, so hopefully we can get as many people out as we can and support our friend.
That's great. And if you're looking for it, I just retweeted it as well out there to push it.
That's great. And Zach, awesome that you guys are putting that on. And where can everyone find all your good work?
The good work?
The great work.
No, it's
okay, your 9 to 5 stuff.
9 to 5. On The Athletic Cleveland. I was trying to put together something tonight, just guessing what the opening day roster will be, and then I had a brain aneurysm, so I had to stop. But yeah, we'll have some cool stuff coming up, and Tribe Fest obviously lends itself to more content.
Very cool. Well, we appreciate the time. We kept you long. Go Tribe, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Zach. I'll see you at Tribe Fest.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Zack Meisel. Go give him a follow on Twitter at Zack Meisel. Check out that fundraiser next Tuesday here in Cleveland on the west side, Lakewood. And, go check him out at The Athletic Cleveland. Good stuff. That was the most Tribe we've talked in years, Chris.
Forever. And it feels good. It feels good. I mean,
it does.
That's a playoff team. That's a playoff team. We
Could
need
be.
to realize that. I mean, we love to rag on the Dolans. We love to rag on this is a playoff team. They've got a shot this year. So I'm excited. It also means warmer temperatures are on their way. So I like both of those things.
That's right. Let's get into some Cleveland headlines.
We were talking baseball. That means Brown season may be over, but now is still the best time to stock up on all your favorite football-themed T-shirts. For this week only, Cleveland Clothing Company offering 25% off their entire orange and brown collection. And if you use our promo code BIGPLAY20, you will get 20% off all other apparel on the site. So go shop online at clevelandclothingco.com or visit them at any one of their locations, downtown at East 4th, in Akron at the Summit Mall, East Side in the University Circle, and over here by the Big Play Studio at Crocker Park. Dave, did you see what I'm wearing tonight?
What do we got out there?
Cleveland Clothing Company. This is part of the giveaway
buzzard.
at the Monsters Cleveland Rocks night this Friday. I'm taking the kids up, and this is the giveaway shirt. You see, it's got WMMS, the old buzzard logo there, playing some hockey. Cleveland Clothing Company put this thing together, and they're giving it out to the first 10K fans that go to see your Monsters this Friday, 7 o'clock.
You know what said? I've never been to a Monsters game.
Got to go on Friday.
I heard they're fun.
Get a free
You know, I
T-shirt,
haven't
hang
either.
with me. I'm going to have the kids. We're a good old time.
Nice.
My
Maybe I'll bring the
grandfather's
kiddos.
going to be there. We're bringing Grandpa, my aunt, my uncle.
Is he wearing the
It's a good
reflux
old
shirt?
McNeil reunion. Yeah, he better be, right? He better be.
Gab, you've never been to a Monsters game either?
I have not, and I feel bad because, I have heard they're very fun too.
Yes.
So,
All
I wouldn't even know what's there. But I believe them when they say it's a good time.
That's right, Chris. We trust you.
I'll have a full report next week for everyone.
Yeah, give us the details.
Perfect. Indians and monsters. That's all we're going to talk about going forward. Let's get into it
Watch
because
the ratings soar.
that's right. Yesterday was a hard day everywhere. This is a Cleveland sports show, but sports in general were completely rocked yesterday with Kobe Bryant's passing. Chris, what comes to mind when all this was coming out? What was your day like?
And we were talking about this earlier. I was working out, believe it or not, and I was on the treadmill there, and I saw the news kind of flash across Twitter. There were some people making references to the helicopter, and I saw Kobe Bryant, and I started looking down a feed, and I had an out-of-body experience there for a second. It's like, what? This can't be true. And I talked to the guy next to me, and he had his headphones on, and I said, hey, did Kobe Bryant die? And the guy's like, that's what it looks like. And then you could see just heads popping up and down the row there as people kind of realized what was going on. And, you had that search for information, whether his kids were on there, whether they weren't, whether Vanessa was there, how many people were involved. It's just agonizing. I can only imagine what families go through and what the friends go through as news starts to break, and you got media members, with blue check marks putting out bad information. And I feel for those families and for everyone else involved. And then first and foremost, for Kobe, for his family, for all the others who died, it's unspeakable. I mean, it's something that hit me at my core, especially, Kobe was 41. I'm 40.
Yeah.
He had a kid about my kid's age.
Yep.
When it strikes home just that on point, you realize and you come to think in that moment, this isn't a guy in a commercial. This isn't a guy playing ball. This isn't the guy you just relied upon seeing Christmas Day or in the finals, or you think of Kobe and Shaq. This was a human being, just like me, just like you, who lost his life along with his daughter, friends, and everybody else who he was transporting there. And it's very humanizing. It is a moment where you kind of step back and you say, wow, even in sports where you deal with tragedy on a fairly frequent basis, or things will come up from time to time, you have something like this where it just hits home like that one did, and you step back and you say, wow, you hug your kids a little bit more. You try and remember these type of life lessons that life is precious, not to be trite. I mean, life is precious, and it's really sad, and thoughts and prayers and everything to the family. And he gave us on the basketball court just so many great moments. He really did. You think about the transition from Michael Jordan, who I grew up with, who unfortunately hit that big shot against the Cavs, and I'll never forget that. But the mentality that Michael Jordan had isn't necessarily in the players of today, but Kobe had that, and that was just to have a dagger out there on the court. Just want to win more than anybody else out there. And if that meant taking 5 million shots, then damn it, he was going to take 5 million shots. And I always respected that part of his game. Like, I never had that part. I was never wired that way throughout life, to just have that want to go for a jugular day in, day out. And he always had that. And that's what I think set him apart. That Mamba mentality, as he called it, was just second to none. And, it's a sad day for the NBA. It's a sad day for the world. And really one you just kind of step back and take stock.
Yeah. And I think it hit everyone really hard, and me more than I thought. Like, I wasn't like a huge Kobe fan, but this guy was so iconic, and it's so sad to see. Like, as an NBA player, I'm sure that he didn't get the time that he wanted to spend with his kids as much as he wanted to, and like he's finally at this stage in his life. It's just really sad. Gab, you have an interesting dynamic to this. I saw you on Instagram, because you grew up as an athlete, and you had a good relationship with your dad.
Yeah, this was the first celebrity. We see a lot of headlines so often and a lot of news on Twitter. A lot of things are negative or tragic, and you'd think we'd be a little bit immune to feeling anything about it. This was the first time in my life, I think, that the passing of a celebrity caused me, like, emotional agony. I had to grieve a little bit for a couple of reasons. And one is what you mentioned. Well, first of all, I have been a basketball player my whole life. So I grew up before LeBron, that was Kobe. So before I idolized LeBron, I was Kobe everything. So I actually did grow up a Kobe fan, and I was really attracted to just like Chris was talking about, his mentality, just his never give up, his relentless attitude, and it really inspired me as an athlete, and I took that into my running career. That's what I did in college. I decided to run track and cross country, and keep that same inspiration with me and that work ethic. But I think what speaks even more about him, and I hope this makes a lasting impact just as much as his game and the influence he's had on the NBA, but what a present and supportive father he was, especially to 4 girls. I think it takes a special type of man. I've had my dad encourage me my whole sports career. He never babied me, or I don't want to say treated me girly, like he understood that I was a girl, and sometimes he would help me pick out homecoming dresses. Like he's the guy. But he really supported me in sports and helped me be tough, and like inspired me and encouraged me along the way. And I think it's so important to have present and supportive fathers today. As somebody who runs a nonprofit educating kids about violence prevention, I'm very aware of kids who grew up in households without present parents and without a father, for example. And so I think he was such a great, leader and example as a father, separate from basketball. So that really hurt. And the fact that, the one kid that he was really mentoring in his game was with him, it hurt in so many ways. I kind of had to grieve yesterday. I was just didn't really do anything I set out to do yesterday.
I think you and almost like everyone in the world, it was a surreal day. R.I.P. Kobe. That's insane. Another iconic guy who was here in Cleveland, just passed Kobe, which, the timing of that is also surreal.
So messed up.
LeBron James, 3rd all-time scoring this past Saturday night. You guys, as Cleveland fans, as Cavs fans, before this whole thing with Kobe, when that happened, was that a big deal to you guys, or was it, he's not really in Cleveland anymore, like, whatever?
It was one of those where I had to remember, you don't think of LeBron as a score first type of guy. You always thought of Kobe as a score first type of guy.
Big time.
And then to realize that he's on that track, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Wow, he is on that track. That's amazing. So, that it took me by surprise, and it shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have. But it was one of those that I paused when I heard that news. I don't know. As a fan, I think it'll probably mean something at the end of his career. Right now, it's just kind of a milestone that he's going to accumulate a lot of things on the back end of his career that are going to be big things that I think when we look back on LeBron, we'll probably appreciate it more than I can in the moment because he's not a Cleveland Cavalier. I'll be honest. I mean, in the moment, it's like,
I'm with you.
Hey, it's really cool. That's
Right.
great, But someday we'll look back and I'll be able to tell my grandkids how great he was, and I'll be able to point to these things. But for right now, it's like, oh, good job, LeBron. Move right along.
I think the thing that makes this meaningful, like I don't think I would remember and grow up and remember to tell my kids that, and make sure you know that LeBron passed Kobe in the all-time scoring this. I don't think I would have to look that up, but I think now I'm going to remember this particularly because of the timing of the circumstances. And I think it will be very memorable because think of if this was 2 days from now, he passed it. He wouldn't have gotten that love from Kobe. They wouldn't have gotten that phone call. They wouldn't have talked.
Right.
They wouldn't have recognized, respected, and just reflected with each other. So I think that this is more iconic for that reason, not necessarily, it's another mile mark for him. I think it's going to hold a little bit of weight because of the timing and just how interesting, ironic, and almost eerie it is.
Yeah. Speaking of Erie, Cleveland Browns.
Dun-dun-dun.
So Kevin Stefanski, he was spotted at the Cavs game this weekend. He received a standing ovation. Wasn't as epic as Baker shotgun in the beer at the Tribe game, but where do you guys fall on Kevin Stefanski? Trying to fit in here in Cleveland. Where is he on your gets us meter?
I think he's pretty high on the gets us meter.
You think so?
I do. I think for a lot of female fans in Cleveland, he's automatically high on the gets us meter. I saw him at the sports awards. I was so busy I didn't get to say hi or anything. All I can do is confirm that his hair it looks that good in person. So I think by just the sheer fact that, let's just put it out there, he's the most handsome head coach the Browns have ever had. That puts him on high up with the fans, at least the female fans for sure. So I think they were already thinking like, oh, he gets us.
I feel like that's exactly what Chris was going to say.
Once again, we have way too many Kevins who are good looking in Cleveland right now.
That's true.
Between him and Kevin Love.
It is true that it was very nice. It's very good that he's already supporting our sports atmosphere.
Yeah. Another guy who's supporting
eye candy for all the women.
Right. Some other eye candy that was trending on Twitter, Hugh Jackson, was trending thanks to our buddy here, Chris McNeil, and an app called Cameo. Chris, how did this come about? What were you doing?
So I saw somebody else had done it. Madden Tron, or whatever his name is, and I apologize for butchering your handle there. But he showed the Cameo and said he'd done it for $60 and got a pretty funny Hugh Jackson. Hugh did he get a minute 30, did the full minute 30 for this guy, and I thought, well, let's see if he'll thank me and thank everybody for the parade that he earned by going 0-16. And so I wrote up a quick script, and you get basically a tweet's worth of words to send to him to have him read off. And he embellished that bad boy. I sent it off at 11:30. And I thought, okay, they've got 5 days to respond. He's probably not going to respond. Within a half an hour, he responds. The video's ready. And I open the thing and I think, okay, it's going to be 30 seconds long, or he's not going to reference the parade. He's certainly not going to talk about going 0-16. And there's no way he's going to somehow thank me for this thing. And sure enough, he did all of them, and he repeated himself about 50 times. I mean, he went way off script, which is great. At times it made people feel kind of uncomfortable or whatever else, but it was very raw, very uncut, and very magical. So thanks to Hugh for having a sense of humor about the thing. But I think it turned out really, really well.
Were you expecting him to decline it? Is there a decline option on there?
Yeah, they just don't do it. because you buy
Yeah.
it and you're not charged until they actually deliver the video.
Oh.
So, it was sitting there on my credit card for all of a hot 20 minutes before he recorded it and sent it back to me. And he got his $60. Hopefully that goes, he's also another one that gives away a lot of money to his charities. I know human trafficking is one of them. So hopefully that money ends up in a good cause at the end of this. But nonetheless, he did his job and he did it well.
Yes, he did. Gab, if you could have one person on Cameo, who would it be?
I gotta
Who would you go
admit
with?
something. I'm never saw Cameo until I saw this with Hugh Jackson, and Chris tweeted this out. So I'm kind of unfamiliar.
They owe me so many credits for
They
this.
do.
I feel so unhip because I literally don't. I mean, now I've pieced together what it's okay. So you pay someone, they do the video, and then
That's it.
that's it. You can just you have it. You can tweet it out. You can save it.
Yeah.
I
Gab,
guess.
you should do it. You should do it on the other side. I bet people would ask to have you do some of these videos,
Yeah,
like a
there
happy
you go.
birthday, stuff like that. I mean, it's the stuff you do for the Indians in the
okay.
stadium. Just do it on video. Make a few bucks here and there. I think this is a legitimate idea.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
They do. This is a
Full-time
business
job.
opportunity for you. A couple of bucks on the side. Everybody's got a side
Yes.
gig.
Yeah, I see how this could. Right. That's a lot better than the creepy guys in my DM who are always like, there's people with foot fetishes out there, and I realized that. I realized that after the sports awards, I had a picture of my foot because like I was taking my heels off in between because they were so high, and then a flood of creepy foot fetish people came in, and my comedian friend and I were talking about I should have put my Venmo in my bio. But this is a lot better than that, than playing to foot fetish people. This could be a real legitimate thing. I mean, I wonder how much Hughes made. This is great too because you mentioned
At least 120.
I mean, you mentioned his human trafficking things
His
that he does.
foundation,
Yeah, he
yeah.
does so much. So that could
does.
even be like a good fundraiser opportunity. So I might have to consider that.
Yeah, those foot fetish people,
I
those
wonder if
are
you
now
get more than
potential
$60.
clients.
I know. Now they're potential clients. Jeez. Creepy
Foot
things.
fetish
The internet's
people
a special place.
With deep pockets. Foot fetish people, I'm sure, have deep pockets.
they
You could
might.
probably go over $60. Come on, 80, $100. Come on. We could get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, I'm trying to think of who I would want to see a video from. Because I feel like what's interesting is I can search the internet for so many things I want to see already. Like, I'm
True.
sure I can find an interview of some kind, like if I were to Google search. But this is a little more...
A little
Because-
personal.
Yeah, because you can script it out.
Yeah, you can script
you
it.
are
Give
going to
them
get a
little script,
ton of
and then they
foot
can
fetish ones.
Say whatever they
You're going to get a ton of foot
yours-
fetish. This is an awful idea. Don't do it.
I shouldn't have even said anything. There's somebody listening who's got a real foot fetish.
Oh, yeah. All right, getting back to the Browns. Kareem Hunt pulled over here on the west side, Rocky River. During the stop, police
have to talk
found
about
a little bit of marijuana, an open vodka bottle in a backpack. They released the video of that today, not that long ago, a few hours ago. TMZ released it. It was kind of a sad video to listen to the audio, where he wasn't cited for anything, but when he was talking to the cops, it was he just seems like in a really weird space in his life, and I don't know exactly what's going on with him. But Chris, where do you fall on this? Do you want to keep Kareem Hunt around? Do you think this new front office with Barry, who we're going to talk about here in a second, should keep him around? I know it's the off season. He only got a speeding ticket.
Right, and I'm pretty pragmatic. He did only get a speeding ticket. He has proven to be productive on the field. And, if we were willing to bring him in with the type of baggage that he had, I don't know that you cut him right now because of a speeding ticket. Now, I know there was talk about open vodka and marijuana. I think if you're the Browns, you've got to take some measures now to make sure that he's on the right path. But I don't know that you cut bait because of this necessarily after you've already brought him in amongst other things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue with this one was at the end of that audio clip where they're asking if he would pass a drug test, and he said no. I feel like that's probably not a great thing. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see him on the roster.
But he's talking about, weed, and he should be smarter than that.
Big time.
He really should. There's no doubt about that. I think that's an understatement, especially after we've just gone through the stuff with Josh Gordon for how many years of tolerating that type of behavior. But I don't know. In the pantheon of problems that NFL players get into, this one isn't huge for me.
Yeah, it's
I don't
January.
know why, but it just isn't huge for me.
That's fair. We didn't get a chance to talk about this. Jarvis Landry outscored Lamar Jackson in the precision passing contest during the Pro Bowl Skills Challenge. You looked at Twitter during that. Browns fans are making fun of Lamar Jackson because he's struggling to throw, who is the MVP this year. Gab, should Browns fans be making fun of the MVP in the state that we are right now?
Well, it's hard to tell Browns fans what to do.
That's fair. They'll give it right back to you on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
No comment.
I don't
Now,
know.
what are you
It's not
asking
like
here?
I'm-
You asking
I'm
the
not that-
sun not to shine?
I'm not that
this is the Browns
surprised. Yeah,
fans.
it's like what are you gonna do? Sometimes I'm very proud to be from Cleveland. Sometimes I read stuff on the internet. I'm a little embarrassed, to be honest.
It's everywhere.
Sometimes I'm proud to be from Cleveland. Sometimes I read things on the internet. That's
know?
so true.
Well, Chris,
Or I see videos. I
That
see
make you
videos in the
cringe a
Muni
little
lot,
bit, right?
and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, okay, well, we got to embrace it all. That's who we
Yeah.
are. They're gonna do that. So
that's true.
I've accepted.
That's fair. But I mean, Chris, we were making fun of Lamar Jackson for being a running back forever
Right.
leading up to the season when we were going to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
And I don't know. Do you think we need to? I mean, do we need to eat some humble pie here, or is it okay to get back making fun of Lamar?
One rule of Twitter: always be trolling. Always
Yes.
be trolling.
ABT,
That's what you're doing,
ABT,
right?
baby.
That's right. ABT. Always be trolling. And, you get ripped on. You can't really win in the troll game, right? Because you get ripped on when you're on top and you're trolling. When the Cavs were winning the championship and we were trolling people,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, look at you front runners. Where were you when the Cavs sucked? And then if you're trolling when you're a Browns fan, when you're eternally bad, they rip on you for a crappy team. So you really can't win. There's no good time necessarily to troll. So just troll all the time.
So you might as well troll. I get it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I
Chris,
think
did you
that's the
watch
theory.
that though? I mean, Lamar Jackson
I
could not
didn't.
hit
Broke stuff.
a target.
Oh, that's great.
It was
I wish
incredible.
I would have. I would have been
Jarvis
trolling
looked like
right
a
now.
way better quarterback than Lamar Jackson.
It's outstanding.
That's
Love
right.
that.
I'm gonna have to look that up now.
Look it up. It's a good one. And also a good one, maybe, I don't know, from an alignment perspective, the Browns have officially hired a new GM. Andrew Berry went into effect, I believe, today. Second stint here in Cleveland, had a brief trip to Philly for a year. He was under Sashi Brown. He was part of the 1-31, Chris. He was part of the parade. I believe he supported it in the background there.
We'll just say he did.
Yes.
I'll get him to do a video where it says he did.
Yeah, why not?
$60, right?
Yeah, it's gut check time.
This is gut check time. Gut check time.
We've been through this before. The alignment is complete. Chris, gut check. Are you going to buy into this regime? Is your hope back?
Well, we have to, right?
We
don't have a choice.
Do we? I don't know. I feel
Don't
like
have a choice.
I went all in on Freddie Kitchens, and
Yeah, what were you thinking?
I don't know.
I mean, wow. In retrospect, what a horrible
Didn't
decision. I
you?
wasn't here.
Weren't you all in on
I
Freddie
don't
Kitchens?
recall.
Yes,
I don't
you
recall
were.
any of that.
You flipped. You went heel on him.
I was all in.
Were you all in?
I'm
Gab?
not afraid to admit it.
Yeah.
As soon as he said "whoop-de hell," there were so many things I just liked about him, and I just wanted him to. I was rooting for him.
He won the press conference.
Yeah.
But then Stefanski walks in all eye candy-ish, and you're like, oh, who? What?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what we've really missed in
That's exactly
Cleveland.
right. No superficiality to any of that was Kevin Stefanski. right, with this whole alignment thing. Mr. 37-year-old or 32-year-old GM.
Yeah, he's 32. How bad does that make us feel?
Really bad.
Really
old,
bad,
too.
yeah. What do you think of though? What do you think of this regime now? Are you okay with? I mean, he's 32, super sharp guy. I don't know how much he was involved with the drafting. There's kind of conflicting reports on that with Corey Coleman and during that whole Sashi era. But do you have hope? I mean, he's smart. Jimmy Haslam likes smart people. He's bringing them all here.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically assembled a front office of a bunch of. It's the fraternity that's next to Animal House. You know, the straight-laced and just very prodigious, by the book, and smart guys, the nerds, whatever. That's what they're going for. They're going for Ivy Leaguers. They're not going to hire a guy like me or you. They're going to hire these Ivy Leaguers.
Well, we did go to the Ivy League public of Ohio.
Of course, the public Ivy. We went to Miami of Ohio, which is a public Ivy. That's correct. But they're looking for a completely different slant, and they're trying to be the smartest guy in the room once again. And hopefully they succeed this time. Hopefully they succeed. I don't know. You can only buy in so many times. Now it's just a show me. Show me, Cleveland Browns.
I feel like that's the quote to go with. I hope they succeed. I don't know.
True.
We're probably going to have the same conversation.
Put it
next
on a
year,
T-shirt.
I know.
Two different people.
But don't you feel like this is his last chance? I know he's the owner. You can't get rid of him.
Whose last chance?
No, Jimmy Haslam. Like,
what's he going to do, sell?
No, but I mean, he's completely out of excuses. Like, he was out of excuses when he fired Freddie and blew up and lost Dorsey. But you watched him in that press conference, and the only thing that he had in his holster was alignment. Like, well, it didn't work because we weren't aligned, and we're going to be aligned now, and everything's going to be okay now. We're perfectly aligned now. We've got the 32-year-old, we've got the 37-year-old. They're aligned. Paul DePodesta's running the show. He has no more excuses.
He'll come up with another one. Come on. He's got smart guys working around him now.
True.
So smart guys can come up with smart catchphrases for why he needs to change the organization again. I mean, come on. Just because he's married to this for right now doesn't mean he won't divorce it next year. I mean, he's done it so many times.
It's very true. Gab, do we now have the most attractive front office out there?
Listen, I'm buying into this front office. Although we do every year, like we kind of already been there. We always find some reason to be super hopeful. And not because like this past year, I mean, we weren't irrational to think that at the beginning of the season, but this looks good. I think this guy, I mean, he seems very well-rounded. He seems well-respected. Let's give him a chance. And he's young. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shoot, I mean,
that's a positive.
That should be a positive. It kind of goes against its counterintuitive, like more experience, but
right.
Let's give him a shot.
Let's give him a shot.
We have to.
We have to.
We're here.
Yes, Chris, put it on a T-shirt. I think. What was it?
Yeah, what was that? That was pretty good.
It was a good one.
Which one? Which one? I just have so much gold.
I hope it works out.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's so the best. Yeah, you're right. That needs to be
T-shirt time.
Yeah.
It's Power Rank Monday.
Cleveland Clothing Company, get all over.
We gotta let them
Power Rank Monday. All right.
Let's do it. It's been a while.
It's time for Power Rank Monday.
One of the best pastimes with the Super Bowl is the commercials. It's a little different nowadays, though.
Less so.
They leak them. It's like there's like a commercial insider out there who leaks them like a day before. It's super annoying. It's not like the good old days on a tube TV, Chris, where we used to watch it and just kind of wait for those commercials to show up. But there's some good ones.
Big game. For the big game. Don't call it the Super Bowl. We don't want to get any letters from Roger Goodell. Nothing like that. The big game.
That's all right. This isn't live. We'll edit it out.
Right.
Let's power rank our favorite commercials of all time. Chris,
let's do it.
How about you kick it off?
All right, my number 3 This one was great. Remember the McDonald's Jordan versus Bird, where they were playing like a game of horse?
Oh, yeah.
And it started off on the court, and they ended up basically in the rafters and then outside of the stadium making shots. I mean, this is way before many people who are listening to this show's time, but that was just a fantastic campaign. Jordan versus Bird, where they were playing for a Big Mac in the bag, and that was just classic. Just classic.
That was a good one.
Gab, you probably weren't around for those. Do you remember those commercials?
No.
They're on YouTube.
But I'm sure I could YouTube. My thing is, I don't remember a lot of commercials in general.
It's probably not a bad thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't come to mind quickly.
Number 2. Terry Tate, office linebacker. Remember that one? Come on, Dave, you got to remember that one.
I don't remember watching that one.
Oh, it was a Reebok spot.
I don't remember it.
Oh, yeah. He's the guy in the office kind of keeping everybody in check and literally hitting people. Oh, it's great. That one you got to check out.
When was that? How long ago was that?
Oh, I don't know.
20
15,
years?
20
Yeah.
No, time goes by so fast. Dave,
Yeah,
I can't
that's
keep
true.
up.
That's true.
Speaking of a remnant from the past, my number 1. The Bud Bowl. Do you remember the Bud Bowl?
I do remember the Bud Bowl.
Budweiser versus Bud Light. Yeah. Gab, were you around for Bud Bowls?
I don't know.
Wow. I'm feeling really old. The Bud Bowl was awesome. It was awesome for the 10-year-old me or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they'd pit Budweiser versus Bud Light, and they'd have about 4 or 5 or even more, I think even up to 10 spots that they'd purchase during the Super Bowl.
It was
they
like a
would play
halftime show,
game.
right? Yeah, I remember this.
In quotes, they would play a game, and they'd have an actual result. They'd show highlights throughout the game at the Bud Bowl, Budweiser versus Bud Light. And I went back and when I was doing my research for the show, I saw that Budweiser had won like 6 of the 8, and I think Bud Light had won 2, and maybe there was a tie in there or something. But yeah, it was like 6-2-1 or something. But yeah, that was great fun while it lasted. The Bud Bowl.
Didn't they start getting some competition? Wasn't there like a lingerie bowl or something? Like there was halftime shows that started going on during the Super Bowl, like on different channels and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
was the
I think
Bud Bowl
that
the
spurned
genesis
some
of that?
The Puppy Bowl, the lingerie bowl, some of those other things I think may have come at the genesis of the Bud Bowl of hey, we could take this concept and just take it over into other things.
Yeah.
So
yeah. All right, my number 3. Do you remember the Volkswagen commercial, the Force, the Jedi?
I don't.
You don't remember this one? Gab, do you remember this one? This wasn't that long ago. It was probably
This kind of sounds familiar.
7-8 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
It was a little kid and a Darth Vader.
I love that.
Yes, it was a little kid and Darth Vader, and he went up to his mom or dad's
Dang
Volkswagen.
This was literally last year.
Oh, was it really?
I swear.
I don't have any concept of time. And
Or maybe like in the near. It wasn't that long ago.
Okay, yeah. And so he goes up to the car in his
love
Darth
that
Vader
song.
mask, and he's just like with the Force, and I think it opens. The car opens or turns on or something
he
like that.
He does something, and then the dad, clicks the button and makes it turn on.
Yes. Having little munchkins.
So he thinks he has a superpower.
Yes. My 3-year-old would love that. He has a Darth Vader mask. So that was my number 3. My number 2, our show producer, Dollar Dog Nick, he put this one in there. The What's Up commercials. The why the. Do you remember those?
Oh, I do kind of remember.
What's
those.
up?
Why the.
That's the dad way of saying.
What's up, Chris?
What's up? What is up?
The What's Up commercials.
Yeah. What's up? You remember those, right, Gab?
I did that one. I feel like I know what you're talking about.
I feel like she's lying.
No, if I look this up, I like that. I don't know why I know that, but if I look this up, I have a feeling I'll be like, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's just people going why the.
Like with a TH or an S.
Yeah,
like it's not was up.
They're all different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Chris, what was it like?
I'm not going to do it again. Now I'm on the spot. I'm a baby.
I don't know, guys. Maybe not.
Who knows?
You have to see the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, my number 1. It was This is a long time ago. I don't know if I couldn't
that
even
long ago.
No, this was a very long time ago. The original one, It was at least 25 years ago.
Oh my God, are you wrong?
No, I'm not wrong. They
Why don't you tell the
rebooted
people
it.
who you're talking
They
about?
rebooted it. It was the Coke driver. He was in a convenience store. I remember because I was a little kid, and there's a Pepsi driver in there as well. And he knocks the Coke driver is grabbing a Pepsi, and he knocks over the entire case of Pepsis inside the fridge at the convenience store as this Pepsi driver is looking on.
Oh.
And Chris, this was probably like 95 or something.
No way.
Yes,
No way.
yes.
You're off.
Yeah, and it probably wouldn't be that good anymore. I'm sure they did a couple reboots of it, but at the time when I was like 7, it was one of the best commercials ever. Gab, do you have any commercials that you liked or
Yes.
ads
okay.
on YouTube that you really like?
No, hold on. I did write down my... Oh, okay, yeah. So no one is ever going to know what this is, but there was a Canine Advantix commercial. Do you know what that is? It's for dogs.
I figured. Canine Advantix? They're like contacts for
The
dogs.
only reason I remember this is because there was a cute little jingle. It was a Labrador puppy who was going off to puppy camp, and the jingle was, "Hello, mother. Hello, father. Fleece ticks, mosquitoes. Really bother. Can't wait to show you all my new tricks. So thanks again for sending me Canine Advantix."
Wow.
I don't know why. I can't remember where I parked. I don't know where my keys are as we speak. But I will remember
How
that
did you
commercial
know
from
that?
like 6 years ago.
Wow,
You
that's
nailed
like-
that jingle. Well
Yeah.
done.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, now I'd like you to sing Meow Mix.
No. What's up?
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that one but
Okay.
at all.
It's a good one. Check it out. The other thing that comes to mind, just childhood commercial wise, these stick out. Tang. If anyone remembers
I
Tang,
remember Tang.
it was like a juice box, and they had all these monkeys in the.
Everyone knows what Tang is. Yeah. Come
Yeah,
on.
and-
Everybody knows what Tang
Right.
is.
Okay. You do? Okay. Great. Tang. I feel like
Yes.
it was kind of a while ago. But their commercials were like very psychedelic. They were orange and swirly and just orangutans everywhere.
I don't remember that at all.
Okay. It was a good time.
What was your favorite? Do you have another one?
Yes, this is my favorite
Or was
of
it
all
Tang?
time.
Kareem
This
Hunt?
is the best commercial ever because I laughed out loud and I had to rewind my TV to laugh out loud again. And then I had to tell everyone about it. And it's not going to be nearly as funny me trying to explain it right now. But
You're
just,
building it up. I
but
like
just
it.
hear me out. Just hear me out. It was a coffee creamer for like Coffee Mate. And they were doing they were promoting their seasonal flavors. There's this guy and a gingerbread man at the table. And some lady says, "Oh, there's only, enough coffee creamer left for 1 cup. So you guys got to do rock, paper, scissors to see who gets the last of the coffee creamer." So I'm sorry. I just love this. It's so cheesy.
You're really breaking it down like
I'm
film.
sorry.
I like
it
this.
really speaks to me.
It speaks to her.
The gingerbread goes to do the rock, paper, scissors with the guy. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And the guy wins. Or no. Yeah.
Oh, no, you messed
Hang
it
on.
up.
No, I need to remember. Oh, yeah. No. The gingerbread wins.
Oh, no. This is spiraling out of control.
Listen up. The gingerbread wins against the guy. And the guy's like, "Oh, dang it." And the gingerbread's over there like, I don't have a hand. Like, I can only do maybe rock or something. Anyway, the guy's reaction to him saying that is like the best piece of acting I've ever seen. And just the timing of it makes me laugh out loud every time I see it. Rock, paper, scissors with the gingerbread. Go look it up.
That's the
Fantastic.
one. That is the one. I love it.
Hey, Dave, the Coke.
What's up? It's time for Would You Rather. Chris, what were you going to say?
The Coke Pepsi driver commercial?
No, it's not. Okay. Well, go ahead.
Or the Pepsi Coke? Whatever.
Right, whatever.
2012.
Nope.
2012.
You're thinking of a different one. This
No,
was
I'm
that was
just
the
telling you,
that
that's
was the
what it is.
remake. All right,
You're in denial, man.
I will find it. I will find it out there on YouTube, and I will
All right,
send
are we
it to
doing
you.
Would You Rathers or what?
It's time for Would You Rather. Groundhog Day is coming up, Chris. This Sunday.
Yeah.
Wait, the Groundhog Day is the Super Bowl? Huh.
I don't know. I don't keep track of it.
That's what it says. Oh, well. Would you rather, Chris, repeatedly relive the day the Cavs won the NBA title or the day Ohio State won the 2002 national championship?
Oh, the Cavs winning the title. That was Father's Day, man. I was there surrounded by my kids. When OSU won the national championship, I was still hungover from the day before. No way. I'd rather have that Cavs championship with my kids in tow.
I'm with you there. All right, Gab, I got one for you.
Yes.
Super Bowl's coming up this Sunday. Big day for chicken wings. Would you rather go boneless or traditional for the Super Bowl?
Oh, traditional all the way.
Really?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boneless is only for select days at Applebee's.
Applebee's.
When there's nothing to
Do
eat.
you go to Applebee's very often?
No.
No.
But that's the only time I eat boneless wings is at Applebee's.
That's fair. I went to Applebee's because we had a gift card. Like, I don't know, like 3 months ago. I hadn't been there in like 10 years. I get my chicken sandwich. It's just raw. And I was like, I will never go to Applebee's. So
Hard times
they will
at
not be a
Applebee's.
sponsor of ours.
I kind of feel like if you were to go in the Applebee's kitchen, you might see just like
A lot of microwaves.
30 microwaves. Yeah.
Yes.
And just like
That's a great
just
point.
weird.
Yeah. That place sucks.
Air fryers now. Probably a lot of air fryers.
Traditional wings. How many could you eat, Gab?
Okay, traditional wings versus nuggets. I feel like my wings number would be lower than my nuggets number, so like 20 max.
20 max. Okay.
I think that's all I got.
Strong.
Not
That's
bad.
pretty-
That's pretty good. All right, this has been a long show. Let's do some bold predictions and get on out of here. Chris, do you have a bold prediction for us
We're going to sign Puig. How about that? The Indians are going to sign Puig.
this week?
It's going to happen this week. Yep, it's going to happen before Tribe Fest. It's going to get everybody excited that Puig Mania is going to start, and it's just going to carry over into Tribe Fest. That's going to carry over into spring training. That's going to carry over into the regular season. That's going to carry over to the playoffs and on into the World Series. How about that?
Bold prediction. I like it.
Momentum builds this week, my friend.
Love it. Gab, do you have a bold prediction for us?
I really couldn't think of one all day.
That's bold.
That is bold.
Real bold. That's bold.
My bold prediction, does Kevin Stefanski have facial hair?
He does. He's got like a peppered
Yeah,
beard.
like a little, yeah. Maybe?
Maybe. Where are we going? You're pulling a Michael Scott here. You're just
Maybe
gonna start
he'll
talking.
shave it off. Maybe he will.
He's not gonna shave.
I know.
He's
Okay,
gonna
well,
shave
it's a
his
bold
beard this
prediction for a reason, is it
That's
not?
true. That's true. That's true. My bold prediction for the week: there will be at least one reference during the Super Bowl of the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Who
There'll
will it be? Will it
something.
be Cam Irving?
You'll
Will it
get,
be
you'll get extra
Shanahan?
points if they pull out and dust off the montage of misery.
No.
Drive, Red Right 88, the fumble. I mean, if the game's close, going down to the wire, just like they'll pull that out for any excuse. Any excuse. They've got that thing ready and locked and loaded.
Yeah. Oh, well. Go Chiefs. Chris, who do you want to win?
Oh.
Remember that the
Chiefs.
49ers blew us out 31, I believe, to 0 or 3. Prime time.
See, the Chiefs are another one of those teams that kind of feels like a Cleveland type of team. You know, they got a rabid fan base. Their home environment, I know this is obviously neutral site, but their home environment is one of the tops in the NFL. And that's the way Cleveland is when we were in the playoffs. It was that way. Home field advantage. There's a huge one at Arrowhead out there. They just have the same sensibilities, it seems, that we do. So I can relate to Kansas City. I'll pull for them.
There we go. We can't go for Buffalo, can't go for Cleveland. Might as well go with Kansas City. Gab,
Right?
Who do you want to win?
I want the Chiefs to win too because I like following Travis.
Travis Kelce?
Yeah.
Cleveland Heights.
Oh, there you go.
So I hope that's literally my only reason.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. Good show, guys. Chris, well done. Gab, crushed it. especially on that canine commercial.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in. What?
I didn't call.
Hold on. I killed the music. What do you want, Chris?
I was just gonna say I did not call Gabe the whole show.
Now you've put it back into your psyche.
I know.
But good job.
But I'm so proud of myself.
I'm proud of you.
I'm so proud of myself. So there we go.
Good job, Chris. Thanks.
We'll see you guys next Monday at 9 p.m. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Free shakalaka. Reflog. It's the golfer backward. Boom shakalaka.
And by the way, shout out to the comments. I completely forgot about you guys in the comments. Next time, we will get to you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in.